You're listening to Building the Broncos with Nick Kendell and Carl Dumler, Broncos country's leading draft and scouting analysts. Get on over to milehighhuddle.com to sound off on all things Broncos.
Because we are live. Well, that is check the pulse here. Gonna wait for John to make sure that we're running behind the scenes. So we've got to make sure that we are up and running on, obviously, the wonderful group of the Mile High super fans. And we got the thumbs up now, so we are going to run live. And Carl, I'll kick it over to you, Mr. Super Host that you are.
Well, I appreciate it. Welcome in, everyone, to Building the Broncos. I am your host, Carl Dumler. And, of course, joining me, as always, is Mr. Nick Kendell. Nick, good to see you, man. I know you're kind of hustling to get here, so really appreciate it and glad you made it.
Yeah, I am very tired. There's a lot of work to be done, but still, obviously, make time for you guys every Tuesday night here for Building the Broncos, as the hat indicates. That's today, right? Today's Tuesday. I don't even know. I'm losing track of the days. But hey, it's the first podcast in a while where I feel like not only are the Broncos got to win, but like there's a lot of positives to talk about. So I'm happy to be here with everybody that's here. Obviously, happy to have you, Carl, and also all the people here. Hopefully, we'll get a good showing today. I know we're entering Thanksgiving, so a lot of people are traveling and whatnot, and family stuff going on and staying safe, hopefully. But, here to talk some Broncos, which is, God, after a win is so much better.
Yeah, that is for sure. And I did want to say, yes, I am in a new location. This is not my man cave. I'm up visiting my wife's family up in Nebraska, and so I've got an Eric Crouch jersey right here, a picture of Eric Crouch right here, another picture of Eric Crouch over there. They kind of like Eric Crouch, which is fine. He's a good guy. So I'm surrounded by Nebraska gear. Nothing wrong with that. Right, Nick?
Man. I mean, they're going to get their butts handed to them this week by the University of Iowa Hawkeyes. I think Iowa is a 14.5 points favorite. And I know a friend of the show, Cameron Parker, and I have a Twitter profile bet. So that'll be a lot of fun. But we got some familiar faces coming in here. Mohamed Badri doesn't have Drogon anymore. He's rocking the Mile High Huddle gear. Appreciate that. Obviously, I've signed some other people. CC's in the house, which is great. Nathan Noble, Don Beauchamp, or is that Boku? No, Beauchamp. We got John Boy as well. Oh, we got the phone coming in for Carl. Obviously, everybody's trying to get a hold of us, so that's good. But we are here to talk. Are you trying to mute that or? Yeah, I don't know what Carl's gone for a second, folks. It's just me. Well, guess what? This is the Building the Broncos podcast. We really do appreciate the heck out of you. I am Nick Kendell, joined by Carl Dumler today. We are going to get into the Broncos' victory this past week. Drew Lock taking a step forward, which is fantastic. And also, guys, tonight's live stream podcast is brought to you by sportsbetting.com. Broncos country gambling is now legal in the great state of Colorado, and here's what makes sportsbetting.com a no-brainer for all sports fans. They have sharp odds and low juice. They have in-house bookmakers, which is great. They don't have third-party providers of odds, which means they've also reduced juice and the best prices. They have hassle-free bonuses with a one-time rollover, which means the bonus money is yours after you bet it just one time. Some sites actually takes like 5 to 30 times, so that's great. And they also have 24/7 live customer support, so a real person can always picks up the phone for you, answers your questions. Here's the kicker. At sportsbetting.com/milehighhuddle, you can get a 100% risk-free week of sports betting up to $1,000. Not just one bet, but all of your bets. Play for a week, and if your losses exceed your winnings at the end of the week, sportsbetting.com/milehighhuddle will cover you 100% of the difference up to $1,000. So head on over to sportsbetting.com at www.sportsbetting.com/milehighhuddle. Again, that's www.sportsbetting.com/milehighhuddle and capitalize on a risk-free week of sports betting up to $1,000. And I know that the games this Thursday they're the 2020 of Thanksgiving games. I mean, when you have this level of the Cowboys this season and the Detroit Lions, which they just need to move them off Thursday or off Thanksgiving. God, America needs that. Honestly, a candidate should run behind that as like one of their tenants, and they might get some support. But sorry, Lions fans, it's been too long. But we really do appreciate it. And guys, Building the Broncos here for you. Got Kenneth Booker in the house, Taylon Vamp. We got Dean Thompson. So a lot of familiar faces. Paris Robinson, how you doing? And we're here to talk Drew Lock, the win over the Dolphins, and maybe talk a little bit of Saints. I know that Carl and I are actually going to be here again with you guys on Saturday. No Luke in the house this Saturday, so maybe we'll save most of that Saint stuff for Saturday. But obviously, we can dabble a little bit in the upcoming game.
I see the comment from Paris Robinson here. We have a chance to beat the Saints with bum Taysom Hill playing. He did not look like a bum this last weekend. He made some big boy throws. Now, he made some terrible mistakes along the way, and we'll get into that as we get closer to that game there on Saturday. So I'm excited to talk about that. But there's still plenty to talk about from this last week, because that was easily the most complete game the Broncos have had in maybe the last 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And before we get to that, also, guys, make sure you follow us on Twitter at Nick Kendell MHH and at Carl Dumler MHH. Sorry, Luke changed up my whole outline here, so I'm trying to go off memory here. Also, like, subscribe, and share on YouTube. Click those thumbs up on Facebook. Really do appreciate that. Go over to the merch store, guys. You can get yourself some Mile High Huddle swag. We got the Building the Broncos hat. We also have the Mile High Insiders hat. I just got them both right here. Sometimes I rock them both at the same time, so nobody gets a little jealous of my services. And guys, follow us at milehighhuddle.com for all our content. Obviously, the Huddle Up podcast. Follow us on there. We're also on Twitter at BTB Football Pod. So really do appreciate that. Look at John working behind the keys there as I just totally go just off script while he's just pulling it up. We really do appreciate you, one of these. You are the man. Really.
This is the Overtime Podcast Network.
Broncos country, listen up. Coors Hard Seltzer is not your average seltzer. Rooted in Coors' long history of sustainability, is a brand inspired by a generation that wants to do good in the world with a mission to restore America's rivers. Coors Hard Seltzer right now is launching the world's easiest volunteer program. Never before has it been as easy and simple to make an impact and make a difference in this world. So whatever you're doing, here's how it works. By simply cracking open a can of Coors Hard Seltzer, you're volunteering. Our waterways, gang, are at risk. 80% of America's rivers are drying up. But through a partnership with Change the Course, Coors Hard Seltzer is helping to protect and restore America's rivers. The way it works, each 12-pack of Coors Hard Seltzer restores 500 gallons of fresh water to U.S. rivers and the communities that depend on them. The results? 1 billion, that's billion with a B, gang, gallons of water restored to 16 river basins across the U.S., including the Colorado River. And that's just year one. 4 refreshing flavors, 1 cool cause. Enjoy naturally flavored black cherry, mango, lemon lime, and grapefruit. And the specs are in. Coors Hard Seltzer is 4.5% ABV. And Zach, it's only 90 calories.
Chad, I got to be honest. It's always good tasting a Coors Hard Seltzer, but it just hits differently after the big Broncos upset of the Miami Dolphins. It's crisp, it's refreshing, it tastes good, and also leading them into my Thanksgiving celebration, Chad, it's even that much better.
You heard it. So join the world's easiest volunteer program by simply drinking Coors Hard Seltzer. You can volunteer to restore America's rivers. You buy Coors Hard Seltzer, you help restore 500 gallons of water into America's rivers. It's that simple. Visit CoorsSeltzer.com to find a Coors Hard Seltzer near you. That's CoorsSeltzer.com.
For every 12-pack sold through 8/31/2021, Coors will purchase services from Change the Course to restore 500 gallons of fresh river water. Details at CoorsSeltzer.com. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Anyway, Denver Broncos coming off of a victory against the Miami Dolphins, the formerly 6-3 Miami Dolphins, now 6-4. And I gotta say, Carl, how tight did your where the sun doesn't shine get after that first interception? It was 3rd and long, and it was just an absolutely terrible throw. And I won't lie, I looked at my wife and I was like, "Here we go again." I've seen this too many times.
I said that exact same thing. Well, I was driving down the road to Nebraska, and interception was thrown, and I burst out laughing. And my wife's like, "What?" And I said, "Here we go again." And she goes, "Another bad game?" Yep. And my brother-in-law is a big Dolphins fan. And he had texted her right before the game going, so your husband might be a little upset later. He's going to he's going to be they're going to get embarrassed today. And so it was kind of nice to get to rub that back in his face a little bit. But I mean,
once that interception happened, things really turned around. The Broncos were still in way too many 3rd and longs. They need to execute better on 1st and 2nd down, because how many times is the quarterback having to, or the pass game in general, having to bail you out on 3rd and 8+? Like, that was way too often. But there was that pass, I think it was the second drive, either the second or third drive, where it was a 3rd and 10, and he threaded the needle and threw just a pure, my balls are hanging out kind of throw. I'm Drew Lock, I'm a gunslinger, I don't even care. And he hit KJ Hamler, and that really just turned everything around. So, and after that, I mean, I felt like the main topic we're going to talk about today is, did the Broncos kind of flip the script offensively, which it seemed like they did. But things really clicked from there, and Drew Lock looked like that was his best game since the New England game. He looked like the most competent quarterback since the New England game. Now, did he look like a franchise quarterback? There were flashes. It was more of an average quarterback game, and the run game was great. Offensive line had their best game since New England. The defense played great, but still, it's all about the quarterback. We've said that all year. We've said that on this podcast 1,000 times. And Drew Lock wasn't the reason that they won, but also he wasn't the reason they lost. Like, he didn't play bad enough to lose. So I will take it. I will take it. I mean, that's where we're at. I will take it. He played pretty well, and I'll take it.
He made the competent decisions. He played within the framework of the game. The only time I felt like he got away from that was obviously the first part of that game. The big first overthrow to Jerry Jeudy, where I think it was a third down play, but he was going for a huge home run play.
Yeah.
And I'm just going, dude, just pick up one first down. Give your offense one first down and go from there. That's all you really need to do here in the first quarter, is just prove that we don't have to wait till the fourth quarter to see any kind of competent play from the offense. And like you said, once they got that first down, all of a sudden the offense just starts going.
Yeah.
And so I felt like right there off the bat, he was just trying to push too hard. We saw the interception. That was him trying to fit a ball into a window that was never there. Yeah. And but once he got that first down and a tight window throw in a big moment, all of a sudden you could just see things started really clicking for him. And so it was nice to see. Hopefully they can carry that over. But I do think that there were a couple things that I saw different on the offense compared to weeks before. The first one I wanted to talk to you about is I do think they changed up what they were doing with the running game.
Man, Garrett Bowles Bowles. Just, I don't know what defensive back he sent into space. I don't know if you remember that meme a few years ago where like somebody would like slip and then they would like be flying into space.
Yeah.
And like a bunch of
I love that.
Somebody needs to do that with that poor defensive back that just got absolutely annihilated by Garrett Bowles. And those pulls by Garrett Bowles, I know you typically aren't seeing that at the NFL level, seeing the tackle pull, but like I remember that game against, it was Garrett Bowles' game against UCLA. And that's the game that I remember falling in love with him at playing for Utah, because he was just doing pulls and he was finding safeties and boundary cornerbacks and just killing them. And you don't see athleticism from the tackle position that often. That was rare. So to see them integrating that also with how good Reisner and Glasgow can be on the pulls, beautiful. That was the most innovative rushing game, as to your point, that I've seen from them this season.
Right,
They were dynamic.
They were. And I thought that they were doing better since the last couple of weeks. Teams have just been able to fly downhill, shoot the gaps, and make plays right there at the line of scrimmage on the run game. The Broncos really worked to get to the edges in the run game this week.
Yes.
And make teams have to run sideways. And when you start making them run sideways, especially those big guys up front, it gives your offensive line a chance to get into position, because right now we do have some decently athletic guys like Garrett Bowles. He's one of the more athletic tackles in all of the game. Dalton Reisner's pretty darn athletic for a guard. Even Glasgow is pretty athletic for a guard. Cushenberry is probably about average for the center position. But even there, you saw on one of the big runs, I think the first big run by Philip Lindsay was Cushenberry pulling. Yes. And you don't usually see a center pulling. It's usually the two guards. And so it's kind of neat to
watch the Iowa Hawkeyes, because they typically have pretty good centers. But other than that.
Right. But you see him pulling, and he did better on the move of actually hitting his block, rather than trying to snap it and get to the second level and get his guy. That's not what he's great at in the run game. So getting him kind of moving like that, I think it just kind of took him out of his element a little bit and just let him go and not have to think as much. And so I really liked what they did there. Like I said, getting to the edge, I mean, that's Philip Lindsay. You get that speed going and let him make that one cut once the hole opens up, boom, he's gone. And Melvin Gordon Gordon did great with it too. So
besides that one,
the one fumble. That was bad. But before that, it was just that was the most dynamic I've seen the run game. I can't even remember the last time we saw the run game quite that dynamic, where every time they were picking up those nice chunk yards for the Broncos.
It had been a long time since I remember the Broncos being the more physical team.
Yeah,
on the field. I mean, I know that they've been investing in the offensive line, but the interior offensive line has really struggled this season. That's where typically you're going to see more of the tone setters. You know, I think it's a classic moniker for the offensive line. You want your interior guys to be wrestlers and your tackles to be dancing bears. because it's really the run game, the push. You're going to get that more so from the interior, and you want the edge protection and the pass protection from the tackles. And I hadn't seen that so far this season. They've really, really struggled. Yep. And I felt like they finally kind of started to get it together. Now, granted, everybody's been able to run against the Dolphins this year. We should really get an idea with the Saints this week. They're a much better defense. Honestly, everybody kind of thinks about the Saints and being that high-powered offense, but I think their defense, even when Drew Brees was on the field, I think their defense was better than their offense this season. Right. So that'll be interesting to see what happens, but I totally agree with you. I know that running backs don't matter, but there's some nuance to that. Running games still do matter, and I think that right now we finally saw an offense that was being called that wasn't really asking Drew Lock to win the games. It was more of a quarterback independent scheme. Yep. And I think that's how they have to play. Drew Lock just isn't at the level right now where you can put it on him. He has to be carried. And so he has to get better. Obviously, this was a game in the right direction. You can't run that forever. Eventually that will limit you. You won't go far in the playoffs at all, if that's your style of offense. But still, I think that this was a game where Drew Lock took a step forward. And that's pretty much all I'm asking for. I know it's baby steps. I know it's small potatoes, but a lot of people, I have my friend Noel in my mentions, Noel. Always, Drew Lock is the fourth best quarterback in the division. They can't do anything. Like, I'm just asking for baby steps. God, I can't ask for anything. But yeah, again, we got Muhammad coming in here. Lock will get better. He just needs more time and patience. I agree with you in regards to the time and patience, but unfortunately, the NFL, there's just not much time and patience anymore. You got to come in and you got to be able to deliver. I mean, Vic Fangio is fighting for his job. Pat Shurmur's fighting for his job. John Elway's fighting for his legacy. There's just not time. You can't wait 4 years to see what it is. By that time, you've already been passed. So the Drew Lock has to show it he has to show it over these next few games. And I still doubt the Broncos, unless he totally kills it, Broncos aren't going to go into next year with Drew Lock being for sure the guy. They're going to have to do something else at the quarterback position, if not to push him, then to replace him. But I think that if he keeps showing like what he did this week, there's enough tools in the toolbox that you can hope on him. Right.
And he did so much better this week of stepping into his throws.
Yes.
There were still a few that were off his back, but the way big time overthrow on the quick out to Fumagalli, that's who it was. That should have been probably a touchdown. I mean, there's nobody on that side of the field and should have been one of his easiest throws of the day. And you saw him. It was all arm, just tried to launch it up and it was highly inaccurate. That's what we've been talking about for the last few weeks about what he's been showing is just throwing off that back foot, takes away all the accuracy a quarterback has. It takes velocity off the football, leading to more interceptions. And so this is the first game where you actually saw him kind of step into some throws, which I was a little bit shocked about because having those rib injuries, you don't usually like to step into your throws and fear that somebody's going to come in and hit you because you're leaving yourself pretty vulnerable in that kind of situation. But he showed that he trusted his offensive line. And once he got into a rhythm, I mean, he looked like the guy that we thought he could be last year. Some of the promise that he was showing, where after he started out 0 for 6, he ended up going 18 for 24 for the rest of the game. And that's 75% accuracy. That's huge. That's big in the NFL. But like you said, he's got to show it more than just 1 week. That's always been the problem with him so far is he has a few games of good or at least promising. And then he's got a bunch of games of things that make you just go, it's time for him to be replaced. And so, yeah, he's got what now? 6 more games?
5 or
7?
6.
7? Yeah, something like that. But anyway, however many games they have left to prove that he can become a little bit more consistent and be that guy. And the more wins that they pile up, obviously the better chance he is of being the starting quarterback next year because he's taken the Broncos out of position to take one of those top quarterbacks.
Yeah, and 6 more games left. So they got the Saints, the Chiefs, the Panthers, the Bills, the Chargers, and the Raiders. And so those are some pretty good teams. I mean, outside of the Panthers and the Chargers, which are both probably better teams than their records indicate, but the other ones are all easily playoff bound. So it'll be really telling to see what happens down the stretch here for Drew Lock and the offense as a whole. So we got Richie Rich coming in. Coming in. We need to see Drew stop one of 2 things in this game versus NO. He either needs to stop rushing to get out of the pocket or he needs to really work on stop throwing off his back foot. I think, unfortunately, both of those things are probably going to be off-season objectives, more so than this game. Honestly, just run the offense, get the ball to the right read, and don't force it. And one thing also, Carl, I want to come back again to this offensive game plan. Obviously, I know that some people believe in the archaic notion that running the ball sets up the play action. There's just no data to support that. But that being said, for the run game, one thing that I've been calling for forever with Drew Lock, and I feel like it's true. It showed again this week. Those quarterback keepers, when he's out there being an athlete and not thinking so much and getting, rigid and stiff, even though he was injured this year, I mean, you could tell he was dealing with an injury. It kind of loosened him up a little bit, and the offense was able to start flowing. And I mean, what did he pick up? Like 23 yards on 2 carries? So I obviously don't want him to rush. He's not Cam Newton. He's not Josh Allen. He's not Lamar Jackson. That shouldn't be the offense. But if they can utilize his legs a little bit more, just to make him get a little bit more comfortable, give the defense something to think about, and then you can play off of that with the either maybe some option looks. They did run the pistol this week. That was gorgeous. Or maybe some more play action bootlegs. I mean, once he was able to run and he's not this mechanical guy and he just kind of loosens up, things started to flow. And that's what I've been saying for weeks now. I know it's not ideal. It cannot be the long-term solution. But again, we're talking training wheels right now. And if that's something that can get him going, by all means, do it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think you're right that just do what it takes to get him loosened up. I think part of what I've seen the last few weeks is, and this is a little bit on Shermer, he has those deep routes really programmed in there early in the game, trying to get that big chunk play right off the bat. And if they don't happen, then the offense is just completely thrown off and there's just no chance for it to get any kind of rhythm. I'd rather see some rhythm plays, some easy throws, although he struggled with the easier throws more so than the hard throws at times this year. But still, try to get him some of those easy targets, or like you said, get him out of the pocket where he can take off running, where he can go get that one big first down run that makes the defense have to respect it. And like I said, just helps him just to get that confidence, like, here we go, let's go. And kind of get that offense going in that way, whatever it takes, because obviously that first quarter offense has been the worst in the NFL this year.
I mean, I saw a stat that they were the worst in the NFL in like 5-minute drives and like first quarter points, and just like they obviously it's the different year, but same song for the Broncos offense. But again, this is a game. The Dolphins defense had been incredible coming into the season. I mean, Luke and I also touted. I mean, Brian Flores has been about as good of any defensive schemer in football this season, considering the lack of blue chip talent on the Dolphins on defense. I mean, they've been taking the ball away. They've been getting pressure, and Broncos gave up 0 sacks. And again, a lot of that offensive line played better. God, I hope it continues next week, because they're going to need it against the Cam Jordan and Zach Bond and Trey Hendrickson and Marcus Davenport. But we'll see what happens against the Saints. That's a very good defense. Yeah. But again, it was a step forward. I thought that it was very good. I also really appreciate, and this is something, again, coming back to the Iowa stuff. Nick mentions Iowa. Everyone take a drink. But the way they were able to stick with the run game, I feel like that's something where obviously the pass game, you're more likely to get explosive plays. All statistics show that if you can pass better, you're more likely to be a better team. But that's just not how the Broncos are built right now. Drew Lock isn't a guy that can go out there and throw the ball 40 times and you're going to win. It's just not. There's just going to be too many bad plays. You're going to put yourself behind the chains way too often. So staying on schedule with that run game this week and getting both running backs going while establishing a physical identity on the offense, I mean, that's what the playbook was supposed to be all season. And I don't fully understand why we hadn't gotten to this point until finally week 11, week 12.
This is the Overtime Podcast Network.
Right. Well, and it was nice to see the Broncos win the field position battle.
Yes.
Where they actually pinned the Dolphins back, made them have to go the full length of the field. This year it's been the complete opposite, where the Broncos have been the team having to drive the complete length of the field, where they could get maybe 1 or 2 good offensive plays.
Yeah.
But that's not going to be enough to go the entire length of the field. And so getting in that kind of position, I got to give a shout out to special teams.
Yeah.
That was one of their best games by far. Sam Martin, great job on the angle kicks, man, because that's a great returner that Miami has there. And to make sure that you eliminate him from the game, make it easier for our coverage units where they don't really have to do anything. They pretty much are just, hey, block for me so I can get this kickoff. And it was just their best game all around from special teams, coverage units, return units, although the return units really didn't do anything. but talk about punter, kicker, everything. And so when you can do that, especially then run game, get a couple first downs and make it where if you are punting, they're pinned back. If not, you're right there in field goal range. It just was a great game plan all the way around. Gave them the best chance to win. Defense got to really pin their ears back there with the first quarter lead and just be able to actually rush the quarterback. And look, hey, they go and get 6 sacks in a game. They look great. All the guys up front were looking great in this one. And and I see a comment here from Scott Edwards, Super Chat, that says, this game will be decided up front. Can we get pressure rushing 4 or 5 and make Taysom uncomfortable and contained? And can our O-line keep lock clean? I agree. That's going to be a huge part of this game. I mean, the battle of the trenches, because the Saints have a great pass rush, like you already listed off a bunch of guys for them, and they have a great offensive line. Can the Broncos, with 4 or 5 guys, make sure that Taysom can't get out of the pocket? And I think that's going to be one of the big things that we're going to talk about on Saturday. Is it's not so much about having to get early pressure on him, but like I said, just keeping him in the pocket itself, making him have to be a quarterback, not an athlete.
God, couldn't have said it better myself. As soon as you started going that rabbit hole, we're in an echo chamber, Carl.
Yeah.
Even though you're in Nebraska, we're in an echo chamber. So we got a bunch coming up here. How do you feel about the pass rush against New Orleans' elite pass blockers? I mean, I think it's time to take appreciation of, I know a lot of people are stat watchers and giving Bradley Chubb a hard time, but Bradley Chubb has been really good these last few weeks. I mean, he has been I know that Malik Reed has been getting more statistics, and I know somebody said we need to sign Deshaun Williams, but the main disruptor for the games that I've watched has been Bradley Chubb. He's getting most of the attention, and he's still pushing the pocket and forcing that quarterback to move off that original spot. So Bradley Chubb's playing like that top pick. Granted, obviously in hindsight, you probably take Josh Allen / Lamar Jackson there, but still Bradley Chubb's playing pretty darn well. So I'm really happy about that. And also Malik Reed. I was of the opinion, and I still think edge rusher should be on the table round 1 this year, but Malik Reed's playing like a guy who definitely would make me pause that thought. He's really doing well in the pass rush department. His run blocking, his edge setting, it's still, he's not a big guy, but still, he's been playing really good, and I'm really excited to see those guys. Also, we should get Shelby Harris back this week. So Broncos, Vic Fangio against a running quarterback. I have really I'm excited about this game. I'm the most excited about this Broncos game as I've been in a while.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think he's done pretty darn well. I mean, we saw him contain Cam Newton when the Patriots came to town. That was a huge win for the Broncos, being able to keep him really in the pocket, make him have to throw, get uncomfortable. He made a lot of bad throws. I think you saw this last week. Taysom Hill, when he was having to throw from the pocket, he was not a good quarterback.
No.
He really wasn't. It was most of his good throws came when he got to get out of the pocket, make some running space, and buy some time to get guys open. So if you can contain him, that's going to be a huge part of this. And we've got 2 guys there at the edge that are looking pretty darn good. The interior guys, for how many people have been banged up, injured, sick, whatever it may be, man, those guys have done some work. Yeah. Sly Williams, really both Williams have done great work there. Walker got a sack this last week with a nice little twist play there.
Draymond Jones playing well.
Yeah, all those guys, they've really stepped up their game for the situation that they've been put in. I'm very, very impressed with the work up there. I mean, it just continues to show Vic Fangio's scheme is one of the top-notch schemes in the NFL.
Well, he's so good at being able to switch it up week by week, too.
Yeah.
Like, just little things that he can do. I mean, everybody's like, oh, Drew Lock outplayed Tua Tagovailoa, which he did, but like a lot of that was Vic Fangio gave Tua a welcome to the NFL moment. Tua had that comment this week heading into the game. He was like, well, I knew the NFL was going to be hard, and it is, but like, it's not as hard as I thought it would be. This week, it looked hard.
And get benched.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. No injury either. That I think Brian Flores said in his post-game press conference. So, good job, Vic Fangio. And again, I think this win probably is one that it was not likely that they were going to move on from Fangio because of the financial constraints behind it. But like, I feel like with this win, you're already at, what are they, 4-6 now? Yep. They'll probably finish the season 6-10. I think that's probably the safest bet. You can give or take a win or loss either way. But I think that's enough to save Vic Fangio's job this upcoming season. And probably if Pat Shurmur calls the game like he did this week and the offense is able to find that balance and that physicality that they had, then he's probably coming back too. So we'll see what happens. But I think we're going to have actually more more stability in the offseason than it appeared just, a week ago.
Right. No, I'm with you there, and I'm good with that.
Oh,
honestly,
absolutely.
I'm good with another year of. I mean, the Fangio defense is already showing, like I said, they can plug and play a lot of players and still look like a very competent defense. They've kept the Broncos in a lot of games that they shouldn't have been in, and I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Bucky Brooks made the comment this week of, I think it was him or one of those other guys, one of those analysts, but just said this Fangio team continues to stay in games.
Yeah.
And at least you've not seen this team quit on him. That's a huge thing, even with their talent gap from some of these other teams. And like I said, if they can keep advancing a little bit on offense, that's going to give you a lot more promise heading into next season, knowing that you're going to get some guys back healthy. And hopefully that can kind of gel them together. And like I said, Pat Shurmur being back, having an offense that has a coordinator the same, has offensive line coach the same, has every coach the same, makes a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been a team that has not had continuity for years. And I know you said that the special teams played better this week. I'm still of the mind that, if Tom McMahon left, I'd be okay with it. But the rest of them,
I could be okay with that.
Yeah, probably back. It's but they have to. There's still 6 games left. They're going to have to show well still throughout the season. If it falls off, if they don't win another game, they look terrible. Then we're right back here in this conversation. But trending in the right direction, positivity all around. Base to Gase coming in with the fantastic picture of another guy who's going to be out of a job here pretty soon. How do we keep Von while needing to pay Bulls, Simmons, and Harris, especially with the cap going down? Oh man, Carl, do we sugarcoat it or do we do reality? I think we're a reality podcast. I think it's odds are very poor that all 3 of those guys are back. I would be shocked. There's 4 guys there. I would be shocked if those guys are back. I think it's still very much on the table that Von Miller is gone after this season. What is it, $24 million they could save for moving on from him? Sucks, but again, reality. Shelby Harris is going to be 30 years old. They didn't pay him this last time. He's playing great, but the defense just had a good game without him. They have invested in Ajim. They have invested in Jones. I don't know if they're going to really value Harris that much. I think they'll give him a contract offer, but I think he'll find more elsewhere. The real question is Simmons and Bowles. I think there's no way Bowles is gone. He's either tagged or extended. Now, whether he's tagged or extended probably directly correlates with what happens with Simmons.
Right. I think they'd rather tag Simmons if at all possible, just because, again, safety is one of those positions that you've seen with the Fangio defense. A lot of them have high success. And so it's going to
be a big game.
Right.
For Simmons also, by the way. Shout out.
This is the Overtime Podcast Network.
Right. Yeah. And I love Simmons. I'm not trying to say that he is easily replaceable or anything like that. I'm just saying of the 2 positions to replace, left tackle is 10 times harder than safety, especially with what Fangio has shown in his ability to create a guy that can come in and play really well. So of those 2, Bowles is probably the guy that's going to be kept the more. I would say some of those other guys, it depends on a little bit of what they do with like Jarrell Casey, AJ
Gone.
Boye.
Maybe gone. Melvin Gordon's guarantees based on the DUI.
Right. So if some of those guys are gone, then maybe they keep some of those other guys.
Yeah, and I want to get to this comment here from Mike Batt, who's rocking the he's rocking the cowboy hat there with the Broncos country. Von Miller will not be leaving. The whole team loves Von, and he's too important of a player. Just because he gets hurt, people want him gone all of a sudden. Well, there's been a lot of people pushing the Broncos to move on from Von narrative for a while. I try to be very not biased and not let fandom get involved with, analyzing the team and where they're going and whatnot. I will be completely honest. If Von Miller, the day that he's not a Bronco anymore, I will be heartbroken. I love Von Miller. I mean, he's still one of the better edge rushers in the league. I mean, 8 sacks last year. Watch the tape. Dude still has special traits. He could be great for any team. If he was on the free agent market, people would jump at him. Now, at the price tag he's at, I don't know because of his age and now coming off this injury. But still, he's a phenomenal player. I would be heartbroken. I just think that it's probably with Malik Reed playing well. Bradley Chubb is going to have a contract coming up here pretty soon. I just think that it's definitely a discussion that we at least have to dance around and, look at because it very well could come to pass.
Right. This is a healthy problem that the Broncos have. They have a lot of young players coming up that you actually want to keep. They haven't had that the last few years. Where you want to keep a Justin Simmons, you want to keep a Bradley Chubb, you want to keep probably Courtland Sutton when he gets up there for a contract, Drew Lock here in a couple of years. And so you have to start looking not only this upcoming offseason, but then the next offseason as well of guys that are going to need some contracts. And if that's the case and you have that $24 million to help with some of that, I understand. Like you said, Von Miller is the Denver Broncos. I mean, he's been since he came to Denver, other than Manning and him probably could argue back and forth of who was more the Denver Broncos. But still, it is. I understand not wanting him to go just because of what he has meant to the Broncos, and he is still a super talented player. But keeping him also means that you're getting rid of super talented players.
It's an unfortunate reality in the NFL. I mean, it's kind of like when DeMarcus Ware left the Cowboys. You know, they were at that point where DeMarcus Ware was still really good. He still had 4 good seasons left, but they weren't at a point where they could pay him. And he moved on, and the Broncos benefited greatly from that, from where they were at. So it's a reality that it could happen. I'm hoping that it doesn't happen. I'm hoping that they can get a restructure that not only is a restructure, but an extension to keep him around, because I am a Von Miller fanboy, and I can fully admit that. I am biased when it comes to Von Miller, but really do appreciate that. And what he's done, he's, again, Jason Dallas says it here, he's the heart and the soul of the team, but he is expensive. So it's something I have to talk about. It sucks, but we're not here to dance around it. Yeah. Let me see. We had one here. I saw Buana ask a question here. Here we go. Buana coming in the house. Do we keep Boye too? I think that's a great question. I love great questions. I'm kind of like that Family Guy spiff where they ask him about it. And it's because you asked it. It's really important. No, TBD.
It is, because he has not been playing the best. He's been banged up this year, so that's part of it. But he needs to show more over these next 6 games than he has shown. I
thought he was really good this week. I thought there were some really good throws where he got beat. His tackling has left more to be desired than I wanted to, but I thought his coverage was good. I thought he was in the right place, and sometimes good throws are going to happen.
That penalty against him that negated the interception, that was not a penalty. No. I don't hold that one against him. The last few weeks, though, before this one, I would say there was some coverage issues that he was the one getting picked on a lot, where he just seemed to be a little bit out of position. That the Raiders game, he did terrible trying to cover the slot, which that's not his forte. I don't know why they were putting him in that spot. I guess it was just kind of a man coverage, and his guy moved to the slot and he had to cover him. But beyond that, I need to see a little bit more to justify the contract. He needs to show a little bit more of what he showed this last week. And this week's going to be a great matchup. Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders.
Emmanuel Sanders, that's the one.
Yeah. He'll be back he'll be playing the Broncos this week. So there'll be some tough matchups this week to see what the Broncos can bring to the table. But I'm looking forward. I hope that they will do Callahan versus Michael Thomas. That would be the matchup of the week, I think.
Well, do they have the quarterback that can get it to him? I guess he still had 100 yards this past week.
I was going to say, he was targeted a lot this last week. He was kind of the security blanket for Taysom Hill.
I think that's what Michael Thomas does best, right? He's not really making plays down the field, but he's going to get reception after reception over the slot, which has its place in the NFL, but I don't value it as much as the real explosive playmakers. And I saw Richie Rich coming in here for a question for me. Okay, so Nick, here's my question. Is Boye better or that much better than Bosby? This is a good question. I think Bosby obviously has tools, but the thing with Bosby is that he is exceptionally risky. He's a gambler, which really hurts the integrity of the back of the defense. If he jumps and guesses wrong, guess what? It's gone. Touchdown. Also, he's not the tackler that Boye is. I know Boye has been up and down in tackling this year, but Bosby's even lesser when it comes to the physicality department. So, yes, Boye is better than Bosby.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Boye banged up this year he's left a lot to be desired, but you can still see a lot more consistency to his game than what Bosby's brought to the table. There's a reason, like I like Bosby, and I've said on this show many times that I thought he was one of the more underrated signings of last offseason, and he showed it for the couple games before he got hurt. But there's still a reason why so many teams have had him available to them, and they've not taken him on their roster or have cut him pretty quick after getting him on their roster. There's just some issues to his game that I think a lot of fans kind of miss because they see the pass breakups, but they're missing some of the other things that show up on tape with him.
Yeah. Yeah, and also no idea what happened to Ojemudia. Also, I see some people asking, they're saying it's a tackling thing, or they're saying it was a Raiders scheme thing the week before. Then now there's some talk about it being a tackling thing. He's playing special teams, so I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. I'm curious if there's anything that happened behind the scenes to get him demoted. But here we are. I thought he was playing pretty well. He was training the wrong way. But I mean, he got cooked by Julio Jones, but Julio Jones does that like once a week. So I can't fault him that much for that. So I don't know. We got Jerry Holland coming in here. Any guesses how the Saints look to defend us this next game? What do the Broncos need to do in response? I think they are going to do everything they can to clog the run lanes. And they are going to say, good luck throwing the ball. We're going to send 6 or 7 and run blitzes. And if you beat us with the arm of Drew Lock in the pocket, then God bless, but we don't think you can do that. We're going to take away the run game and make you beat us with the quarterback. Yep. And that's what I think they should do.
So what I would do to counter that is I would do a lot of slant patterns right behind the linebackers. So when they are bringing those guys to stop the run, because you do the play action offense or you do some RPO offense, one of the two. And so when they step up, boom, you hit them right across the middle, right over the top of their head with Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick, Noah Fant, KJ Hamler. And you allow those guys as athletes to then go make plays down the field. That's what I would do to counter that. And just tell them, okay, if you're going to give us that, give it to us. And then when they start backing off to help with the pass game, boom, hit them with the run game. And just kind of keep going back and forth with those two things, making them have to make a choice of where they're going to go and make them have to guess on some of that. And that's why I like a little bit of you talked about using Drew Lock's athleticism, some of that RPO where Drew Lock could carry the football, have it where it is a fake run to Phillip Lindsay, then boom, Drew Lock out to the other side out of shotgun. I think you could pick up some decent yards off of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's the direction they'll probably go this week if the Saints are going to try to take away the run, which anybody watched that game last week, that's the first thing any team should try to do.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens. Also, anybody's watched the Broncos this year, try to A-gap blitz. So maybe some twists and stunts, try to confuse the interior, get Drew Lock going off his back foot, feeling pressure up in his face, and then kind of things deteriorate from there. So we'll see what happens. We got going off here. Need some screens and drag routes called and have our playmakers make plays. Yeah, definitely. And also shout out to the playmakers. I know Noah Fant's dealing with a serious ankle injury. I know that he's gotten through it. He's going to need surgery, I think, this offseason if he doesn't get it before that. That's word around the grapevine is that Noah Fant's really dealing with a pretty serious ankle injury, but gotten through it. So, a lot of people question his toughness. He's playing. But shout out to Jerry Jeudy having a pretty good game. I know that he didn't get targeted a heck of a lot, but still getting open. And Byron Jones is playing as good as any cornerback in football this season. So that's good job for Jerry Jeudy. And KJ Hamler, boy, KJ Hamler is playing really, really well. I know that a lot of people had their panties in a bunch about the Broncos going wide receiver back to back. And I get it because the offensive line struggled. See, look, the right tackle, the offensive line, the defensive line is decimated now, blah, blah, blah. But man, both those guys together, along with Cortland Sutton coming back and hopefully a healthy Noah Fant, I feel really good about the pass weapons going forward. KJ Hamler and Jerry Jeudy look really good. Like really good. I was not expecting KJ Hamler to look this good this fast.
Yeah. And I will say about those wanting the offensive tackle, after about the first four or five guys taken in the draft, most of them are not doing a whole lot right now in the NFL. Like Austin Jackson played this week. That was one of the Dolphins' first round picks, right?
One of their 5, Tua, Austin Jackson, and Noah Igbenanahi.
Well, he got destroyed this week by
Bradley Chubb.
Yes. So that's the kind of talent that you're looking at. I don't think they're playing much better than what you're seeing from like Dotson. Dotson's actually playing at least average.
Yeah.
I've liked when he's been in the game. The offensive line looks much, much more competent when he's been in. The last couple of weeks when he missed, that was not good.
No, not at all. I mean, I know that Calvin Anderson likes to tweet the emoji of like or something, but like, he's the 5th offensive tackle for a reason. I don't know why. He should be probably the 4th, or he should be ahead of Jake Rodgers. Man, Jake Rodgers, I never want to see him play. Sorry, Jake. I'm sure you're a nice guy. Happy Thanksgiving. But I don't need to see that again. And also Elijah Wilkinson. I mean, Dotson has definitely been better than all those guys. So it's really helped stabilize the offense. Speaking of a stabilizing presence, take it away, Buana. My hands are off the keyboard. There you go. Yep, sorry about that. We got Pabby coming in here. Hey, guys, showing some love. Well, we are feeling the love there. Thanks for the great podcast. Go Broncos. Pabby, thank you so much for coming in here, and happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. And say hello. As always, when you come in here and say hello, I got to tell you to say hello to the great state of Iowa for me. I miss her. Also, Carl's, we're rocking all that Nebraska stuff behind him. It's just really starting to make me a little bit ill.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. You made me take down the pillow even.
I know. I said get rid of that. That's too gross.
Oh, man. I'm going to tell my host, or my host, that let me have their house here for a little bit.
I have a joke for you about Nebraska once the show is over. If you guys are curious, you can get at me on Twitter.
Not safe for work here?
Oh, definitely not. But yeah, no, it's definitely going to be a great game against the Saints. The Saints should be favored. They're the more complete team. But if the Broncos can continue to move the ball on the ground, the offensive line plays like they did this week, and Drew Lock can cut down on the turnovers, which I know after that first one, I was like, oh boy, here we go again. But after that, played much better. If they can do that, they're going to have a chance. And Judy's got another big matchup this week. I mean, this is life in the NFL, buddy. I know that he was playing Alabama, typically going against the slot, against some SEC cornerback in the slot, which, matchup favoring Judy. But this week, he's going to get a matchup of Marshawn Lattimore. So good luck. Typically, that would be Cortland Sutton, and I would feel really good about Judy getting that second cornerback. But, Marshawn Lattimore is one of the best in the league. And then he's also got Tre'Davious White coming up, too. So he's getting the gauntlet, man. He's really going to see a lot of good cornerbacks.
He is.
Rodgers was waived. Thank God. Thank you.
There we go. But like you said, I thought he did great against Byron Jones. There were a lot of plays where he was open.
Yeah.
He really used his route running well to get some separation.
Good call, Cecil.
So even though he's not been targeted like he should be, there's still a pretty decent opportunity that he's going to have some breakout games, even against some top cornerbacks here.
Yeah, and we got young Tyrone coming in here with a very cute picture of what I'm assuming is his daughter. What do you think about Melvin Gordon fumble at the goal line? I mean, gosh, damn it, Carl. Like, he's having a great game, and then he goes and does that. I just, that would have salted the game away. Then it got a little bit nervous there. It's like, what's the one thing you can't do there? What's the one thing you can't do is fumble the ball. And I know he had issues with fumbles at Wisconsin and somewhat at the Chargers as well, as I recall, but it's been a huge issue for the Broncos so far this year. Off the top of my head, is that his fourth fumble?
I think so.
Considering
fourth or fifth.
It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. If you're going to run the ball, you can't turn it over. Right? Like that's the classic was at Woody Hayes. Like you can pass the ball, and two of the three things that can happen are bad. So that's why you should run the ball. I believe it was Woody Hayes, and he said it much more eloquently than I did. But if you're fumbling the ball when you're running it, then God damn it. I can't have it. I can't have it. That was just unforgivable.
Right. To me at that point, especially late in the game, I think that's where you just got to put in Phillip Lindsay, even though Melvin Gordon is supposed to be your finisher because of his ability to run between the tackles. At that point, I think I would just put it in Phillip Lindsay's hands because, you kick a field goal, game's over. It's a 2-score game. You don't even need the touchdown for him to go score a touchdown there. It feels good to win 27-13, to have that 2-score difference. But like you said, you just got to be smarter in that kind of situation. And that's been part of the issue is he's just running with the football hanging out there with one arm. He just trusts that he has enough strength in that one arm to keep it from getting ripped out. And I'm sorry, but these guys are full-grown men trying to punch that ball out of your arm. And
Carl, we're full-grown men. There's a different explanation for what NFL players are.
We're talking like gladiator full-grown men.
Yes.
That are coming out there that have been trained on how to punch that ball out and to go for that, especially late in the game to get that turnover.
Yeah.
And so you're right. He's got to be smarter. And it just, at that point, I don't know what you say as a coach to him. You either say, all right, we're going
to the GD ball.
Well, I think maybe you just say we're going to have one game that it's just all Phillip Lindsay, which stinks because there are things that Melvin Gordon brings to the game that Phillip Lindsay doesn't.
Yes, pass blocking this week was great.
Yes, that is such a huge part of his game that Phillip Lindsay, as much as he tries, he just doesn't have the size to quite handle sometimes when those 250-pound guys are running at him.
Yeah, he can't plant. And actually, let's get Aaron's comment back up here because I want to say hello to Aaron and his beautiful family. If Buana will find it, he said it was the first time to the show, and if Buana finds it, then I'm going to give you a shout out, Aaron. Welcome to the channel. We appreciate you. We try to make this a family. I've never watched the channel before, so I'm new at this. Good job, Buana, getting this up. It's my first stream, so we appreciate it. And Aaron, gosh, is that your whole family? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids. So maybe you can host the offensive line next year. We got some recruits in there. It looks like potentially. Just don't send them to Nebraska, then we'll be okay.
Come on.
No, you're a. I don't know if we can even say you're a Kansas fan, but
Kansas basketball fan.
There you go. Hey man, the Hawks are going to be pretty good at basketball this year. I got to say. I think they're ranked like number 3 or something. So it might be a little fun. We got Kevin Peterson coming in. I saw you're a little late today, Kevin. Don't let that happen again. Only I can be late when I'm coming from work. You have to be here on time. But Carl, did you remodel the house?
I wish. No, I'm up in Nebraska visiting family and actually get to go deer hunting tomorrow. Was out sighting in a crossbow earlier today. So very excited about that. Go see if I can get myself the
Aaron's 10. So I just want to, Aaron, welcome to the show. I'll keep it PG for you. He also said, why you hate Nebraska? I'm a Hawkeye fan and we play him this week. So I'm trying to keep it some good natured ribbon. So just giving him a hard time.
Okay. Part of the big family there.
Yeah.
But no, so I'm up in Nebraska, seeing my wife's family. So got a lot of Nebraska gear behind me. Got a lot of Nebraska fans around me. I'm sure we'll be watching the Nebraska game this weekend. We enjoy some leftover turkey.
The Iowa game, you mean, right? Okay, yes. We got Duke. I'm gonna super chat at the bell. Oh, Duke, classic. Also, we got Charlie Beagle in the house now too, and Kenneth Booker. Kenneth, I've been appreciating. Kenneth's been sending me some funny videos, so I've been really loving that.
Good comments in here too about
O'Brien giving me a hard time. Hawks ranked number 3. Stick to football. Hawks did improve a good deal. I think Hawkeyes are ranked like top 5 in basketball. They're really good in basketball this year. I don't know. We'll keep it, guys. This is not a Hawkeye basketball podcast. We'll keep it back to football. I would talk on Iowa football though. Man, I got Davion Nixon, defensive tackle. The Broncos are going to take this year in the second round. It's going to be great. No, I'm just kidding. So, Carl, we got a few minutes left. How do you feel about talking a little bit of draft? Is there anything else you want to talk about? Or, I mean, we got the people in here that are the hardcore nuts, and this is building the Broncos. And the Broncos are now at 4-6. There's a lot that we can talk about when it comes to the draft over these next, 5-7 minutes that we have left. So, What are your thoughts now? Go ahead.
I did want to get to the Jedi's Hut comment here. How much teaching or mentorship do you think Elway is showing Locke through his career in these last few weeks? From what I understand, they do talk every week after the game. I think they break down film together, and Elway kind of says, hey, this is what I see when I'm looking at this kind of play. What are you seeing? All that kind of question. So I do think there is a mentorship relationship there. And I do think the Broncos are trying their hardest to have Drew Lock still be the guy moving forward. I mean, it still works out best for their franchise if you don't have to keep trying to figure out who the next guy is. And so I hope that works out well. I hope that relationship continues to grow. And we saw it this last week that he did make some improvements. He did better with his footwork. He did better at understanding where some throws were and taking them a little bit earlier. There were still a few plays that left a lot to be desired, but that's still going to be expected here. So, I hope that relationship continues to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. So getting back here to the draft, Carl, where are we at right now? How are you feeling? Who's the next best tackle over the Oregon kid or after the Oregon kid? So there's a number of guys right now that we can talk about at the tackle position, but right now I kind of want to have it be, I guess, a less specific to the players that are coming up, but rather Broncos. What direction are the Broncos going? Because then you can kind of really cast your net and really understand. So we got John Boy coming in here too. Corner, edge rusher, dare I say tackle is off the board in the first rounds at the moment. So this is a good comment right here that I kind of want to get into a little bit. The answer to all of those is yes. Besides the last one, I think that tackle is still very much on the board. So, Carl, I guess what are your thoughts on the Broncos right now? If you had to put money on what position the Broncos are going to take.
Well, I would say, let's say Drew Lock does pan out over these last 6 games.
So
and quarterback is not the absolute need for the team.
Yes.
I would say that opens up the Broncos to really about any position, because you think about it, like cornerback. Yes, Callahan has played as a top 5 cornerback in football this year. Ojemudia has looked up and down as a rookie, but he's shown some promise for sure. You could stick with Boye and still be set at cornerback, but at the same time, you can never have enough great cornerbacks to line up, especially when you're going up against teams like the Chiefs, the Raiders, the Chargers. All of them have multiple weapons that need coverage problems. So I don't think cornerback could be completely off the board.
At all.
Tackle. I mean, James is up and down. He's injured. We don't know what he's going to be when he returns. And then, of course, you're probably looking to replace him after this next season. If you can get a guy that you really believe can be a long-term solution at right tackle, then, yeah, having 5 years of controlled cost at that right tackle position, take it.
You're absolutely right. I want to touch on that a little bit. I know the Broncos, a lot of fans will look at the draft in kind of a 1 year snapshot, but you can't do that. You got to look over the entire rookie contract. So 4 to 5 years. And let's say next year, the Broncos take a tackle in the first round and then you don't see them at all. Garrett Bowles is retained. Let's say it's an extension because we're living in a great world right now. In that way, this world that we're talking right here. And then Juwan James plays excellent next year. Well, and you don't see that rookie first round pick at all. Is that a waste? No, that's a good problem to have. Now, in hindsight, maybe you would have wished that would have been a third round pick, but you can't depend on James. And then James is very likely moving on after next season. They have an option. It's a 2 and 2 year deal essentially. So, if for some reason you take a tackle in the first round and Garrett Bowles and Juwan James both stay healthy and play so good that you don't see that first round tick, well, la-di-da, the Broncos have 2, maybe 3 good, even better tackles playing. And I will take that. But I think odds are Juwan James either gets injured or you see that rookie at some point. Maybe it's a Garrett Bowles tag, so you're not sure about the long term about the left tackle position. And then you don't really know beyond that one single season what the tackle position is. You might have to replace both of them. So getting that tackle in the first round, even if they don't play in 2021, I don't think it's a big deal. I don't care. I would rather them just go do it.
Right.
If the guy makes sense for the pick.
Right. Well, here, Cody Potter coming in here. Hey, guys, happy Thanksgiving. What are we going to do at right tackle? Do you think we could trade James and draft or re-sign Dotson? He's looked solid. Mile high salute. So I wouldn't mind them re-signing Dotson. Like I said, he's looked competent. He's been healthy at least. And you need something more behind James. You can't go into next season with Elijah Wilkinson kind of talent and be okay with that. You're just begging for trouble there. My guess right now would be that you would go with James and a draft pick, probably a top 3 round draft pick at the tackle position, guy that you're working to develop with Munchak, and then hope that he can really turn into something the next season. Like you said, and whether that be first, second, third round, I'm okay with it. I'm okay using a premium pick at a premium position.
Even if they don't play year one or play a lot?
Yep.
So, and that's the beauty of a position, like let's say cornerback or edge rusher or interior defensive line, where even if they aren't breaking the starting role, you're going to see them. Like they're going to get meaningful snaps. And so that's why I would be fine with any of those positions as well, because they need to restock.
Right. And I would say if the Broncos do sign, let's just say that they sign Garrett Bowles and Justin Simmons, that those are the only 2 that they sign. Right now, I would be pretty darn okay with where the roster is. Like, I feel like there's at least a solid starter at most of the positions on the team. And so it gives you freedom in the draft to kind of go in some different positions. Now, there's some that, yes, are more down than others. Like, I'd love to see an elite linebacker come onto this team, because I think that changes the entire outlook of the defense.
An elite defensive lineman. There's not a guy in the interior defensive line right now that is just dominating.
Right. But I do feel like Jarrell Casey, Draymond Jones, all those guys are solid guys that you can look across the board.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely. And we got a bunch of supers coming in here. So let's get Buwana rocking those from behind the scenes. We need to draft PK Chandler. He's a half brother of KJ coming out of Korea. Thoughts? Yeah, sure. What position does he play? Let us know. Is he PK for place kicker? In which case, no, because Brandon McManus he's pushing for the best kicker in the NFL right now. I can't believe I haven't talked about him at all. He's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
So Kevin, I'm trying to understand here. I know you're joking. I think you're joking, but let's go with yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, if you could add another athletic freak like KJ Hamler to this team, I'll take it.
Yeah. And we got Duke coming in, the man up north himself. Duke Boynton rocking the Santa beard and hat. Very good. Does Shermer keep rolling with the aggressive play calling, or will he go back to being vanilla? He must watch MHH. He saw his job was going to Shula. I think that, honestly, he might have been too aggressive, Shermer, because this week you saw them keep in more blockers. You saw many more quick reads. You saw them lean more on the run game. It wasn't this, 5 guys with the running back chipping and then sending the ball deep, which was not working. I mean, ideally, that's what I'm calling in Madden, but it was not working for this iteration of the Broncos. So I don't know if I would agree with the entire commentary. I don't think that he was over aggressive. I think he was just calling it where it didn't actually match what was working.
Yeah. No, I loved, like you said, they played some pistol offense. Yeah. That was a phenomenal play.
A lot of 12 too.
You could tell that
Nick Vannett.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. He had a couple of decent plays. But you could tell that the Dolphins, when they went into that pistol, they were like, what do we do? You could see their defense was looking around, trying to figure out, does anybody know what to do here? And so that's what you love to see as an offensive coordinator, that they're getting in some different formations, some things that maybe the defense hasn't seen or hasn't game planned for, and mixing and matching some of that. And they saw, hey, we got a really great matchup here with adding extra tight ends on the field, that they don't have the size to really match up with some of our guys like this. And hey, the offense went great. The running game finally started getting going. And so I'd love to see more of that again this week, of getting some of those tight end formations, 3 tight ends, sometimes 2 tight ends. I think they had 33 offensive plays where they had 2 tight ends, and another 8 plays on top of that with 3 tight ends this last week. That's great. That's mixing up your offense right there.
Shout out to Kenneth Booker, BPA. Also, did I just get roasted, or is this a compliment? Why does Nick look like Tim Tebow? Did the 10-year-old roast me? Because if so, about to, sir, because that was pretty phenomenal. And I also see a lot of comments coming here for guys. See, we do have people want to talk draft. Yeah. Sometimes we start talking draft, people get irritated. But we got actually names coming out here. Chaz Surratt in this round 2 or 3. I would be about it. That would be great. We also have a dog coming in to say smash the like button. I'm a friend of dogs, so thank you very much, dog. Here's a name that I cannot pronounce, but I call him Jock because that's much easier. And if the Broncos draft him, I'll have to learn how to do it. But he looks really good, JOK. And my biggest thing is he's very small, he's very light, and he's a little bit of a safety linebacker tweener. And how does that fit in the Vic Fangio defense? I'm not sure. I feel like he's definitely a good 4-3 will. I don't know if he's going to be a guy who can take on blocks on the interior.
Right. And I think so much of the linebacker positions depends on their thoughts on Justin Strnad. If they really, really like him, like I think I've heard from a lot of people, maybe linebacker does fall down the list a little bit of what they're looking for.
And we got Duke coming in. This is what we call you two, the beards of knowledge. Well, that's very, very impressive. And I hope my wife cannot hear me, but I was thinking about potentially going mustache, just either like the long one, like the Fu Manchu, or this one for Thanksgiving. We've been very socially distanced. I'm going into work still with my mask and everything, but we have a friend who lives out in Seattle who works at home. So we were both talking about coming in with the stashes just to tick her off because she says she hates it. So we'll see. We got Kevin Peterson coming in too. Y'all know I'm busting your chops. Love y'all. Beast is the man. Thanks, bro. Yeah, Beast is the man. And we know that, Kevin. We really do appreciate it. So, Buana, is there anything else going on? Nope, we're good. All right, guys. Well, we really do appreciate you. And also a Penn State linebacker that opted out, Mekhi Parsons. He's a little bit interesting. He's like a linebacker edge hybrid. He's really, really impressive player. But that's going to be it for our show today. We really do appreciate you guys. You can find us on Twitter at Nick Kendell MHH and Carl at Carl Dumler MHH. Also, I'm doing this again ad lib because Luke messed with my entire outline. So that's life. You can follow us at Mile High Huddle. That's where you can find all of our content. You can also follow this specific account at BTB Football Pod. And to find all our shows, you can go to at Huddle Up Pod, I believe. Maybe John can work that. We also really do appreciate you guys. Also go to huddleuppod.com to get your swag on. Guys, we got the Broncos next week going up against the Saints. Carl and I will be back again on Saturday. You guys make sure you stay safe this week. Obviously, if you're seeing family, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, but just make smart decisions. We want you all here throughout the rest of the season as well, so we appreciate you. And gosh, bless y'all. Carl, I know that you're in Nebraska. I'm not going to give you any more crap about that, but make sure you let your family know that I said hello and go Hawks. And guys, we really appreciate it. You guys stay safe. Happy Thanksgiving. Go Broncos.
You've been listening to Building the Broncos. Join Broncos Country's deep divers at milehighhuddle.com to keep the conversation going.